Hi there, I'm Sandy Allnock, and I'm an artist and paper crafter here for MFT Stamps for this month's segment of Create in Color. And I'm excited to bring you colored pencil this month with a crazy castle project using the Castle Dynamics and 2 stamp sets because they go so well together that I created this crazy project. So there's one stamp set that has lots of princesses and unicorns and things in it, and the other stamp set has all the knights and the dragons. They both have great sentiments, really fantastic ones that you can use for a lot of different things. What I've done is stamped out all the images and die cut them, and then I die cut a second piece that I'll set aside. We're going to use that later. But first I'm going to start building my castle. And I've used this long edge from the Castle Dynamics to create the wall out of a 6 by 2 3/4 piece. Actually, it's longer than 6 inches. That die itself is 6 inches. So I'm just going to cut off those 2 edges that didn't cut. And at 3 inches down the center, I'm going to score it. And I'm also going to score on the right and the left about a 1/2 inch in and fold those up and put some score tape on the outside edges. Now I'm going to set this up so that it pops out and is square by kind of roughly getting both pieces square. The card base, which is a horizontal card base, and the little piece for the wall. Attach one side, peel off the backing from the other side, and then when I close it, this means it will close flat in the envelope, but it also will pop out and end up being square. And then add my towers to it. I've taken the windows out. I'm going to color those separately. But the tower that's going in the front, I've cut off 2 corners of them so they don't overlap each other, and that it will all fold down nicely. Those will be 2 sides of one tower. And there's lots of things you can do to decorate this. There's lots of other pieces in the Dynamics set that you can add lots of other stuff to. So these up here are the windows. And I'm going to be zooming through lots of the coloring, but just to talk about my color pencil technique, I use Prismacolor Pencils, but there's a lot of brands you can use. With these, I like to use lots of layers of light color. So I'm starting out with some yellow, and then I'm going to add some red to it so I get a little bit of differentiation in color around the edges, that sort of thing, and then go over it with more yellow. If you use a very light touch and a very sharp pencil, you can actually get some really good color layering going and not have to worry about the wax building up, because color pencils have wax in them. The regular ones, not watercolor pencils, just regular colored pencils. And that wax can build up, in which case you don't have any options for layering over top of it. It's going to get kind of weird and glossy and lumpy and stuff. So you want to use a lot of soft layers over top of each other to build that soft color. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can color them. You can also do some smoothing out of them in different ways, which I'm going to show you a little bit of later on. But here I'm just going back and forth with that very sharp pencil. Now I'm going to just zoom through the rest of the coloring because it took me a few hours to get all this colored. You could actually give this card to a child with all of these pieces ready for them to color. Just give them a little pack of colored pencils to color it with, or a little pack of markers. They would have a blast making this little set for themselves. But I'm going to zoom through the coloring so you can see how I build up color layers. I had some peachy color for the skin, added on some purple for the shadows, which I do with my Copic markers, so same principles apply no matter the medium for the most part, and just do layers of color over top. And sometimes I'll color part of it, and then I'll decide later on I want to go back in and add another layer of something because another color next to it means I need more contrast. So giving yourself that option to constantly rework is very helpful with colored pencil especially. And with the choices of colors throughout all of this, there's a lot of pieces going on here. And if I chose to make every single character a fully different color and use different pencils for each one as well, and had multiple reds and multiple blues, that would be a little visually overstimulating perhaps. Just a little bit too much. So what I'm going to be doing is matching my little knights. They're part of the same castle brigade, so they're going to be wearing the same colored outfits. The princesses will be different colors because princesses don't have uniforms, that sort of thing. But I'm going to use the same blues across everything and the same yellows across everything, the same reds, just in different proportions and for different parts. So the red for the flowers is the same as the red for the other princess's dress. That brings a little unity to the whole piece, and it also means I don't have to get out all of those colored pencils. I do have the set of 150 color pencils, which is probably overkill for most people, but I love my color pencils, so really do enjoy those. So I'm using lots of layers, very soft layers, and the pencil sharpener that I like to use gives me a really long point. And I know a lot of people ask about that color pencil sharpener, and there's a link over on my blog if you need to check that out. But it's one of those that actually stops before it eats up your pencil, which is important. And another tip for your colored pencils, a lot of folks say that they have pencils that break all the time. Well, there's a couple reasons for that. One is that the pencils have potentially been dropped and that lead broke in the center somewhere along the line. Now I've been told, and I've never tried this myself, I've been told that you could put them out in the sun and let the sun melt the wax back together. That's possible. Sounds like it could mentally work. I don't know if it does, but you can certainly try that and see. I would not recommend baking them. I saw someone recommend that, and I'm not really sure that's the best idea. But for the most part, you just don't want your pencils to drop on the floor and break. So if your kids use them, that could be part of the problem. I keep mine in a zipper pencil case so that they don't bounce around, that sort of thing. And if the pencil case falls down, it's got some padding in it, that sort of thing. That link will also be over on my blog if you need a good case for your pencils. But for the most part, just treat them nicely and they will treat you nicely in return. And especially if you have a good sharpener and you just take good care of your supplies, they will last you a very long time. Now, as I was working on this, I thought one other thing that I wanted to show you, because a few people did ask about it, was using the magic colored pencil technique. I've done videos with this before and wanted to share that with you. So I wanted you to get the full look here of what it looks like to have just colored pencil itself, which I love. And then also what happens if we do something to it. And I've got some baby oil in the lid of my baby oil bottle, and I'm using a blending stump. And this blending stump, I'm just dipping a little bit of it in, and look at the richness of color that you can get and the smoothness by just rubbing it over top of the color that you've already got down with the pencil. A lot of folks will use Gamsol, and for me, Gamsol is just kind of stinky. I prefer to use the baby oil. It smells a little better. You just need to be careful, because if you use it with white paper, if you're trying to blend into white, you could end up with kind of an oily stain, and that could be a problem for you. Now, with those clouds that are up there, I actually had started coloring them with the blue. Ended up actually re-die cutting those by the time I got to the end of the project, just so you know that I didn't want to do my blending of those because I was just worried it was going to get weird, and it did when I tried, since I already had some color on them. But another tip with the blending stump and the baby oil, I'm just going around the whole image, like all of the yellow areas I'm doing at once, the yellow and the red and the warm areas. The blending stump doesn't need to be cleaned, but if you jump straight from one color into something completely opposite, you could carry some of that color over with you onto another one. There are blending stump sharpeners. I've never used one before. I've always used this same blending stump, and it always seems to work just fine, but you can try that if you're interested. Link on my blog as well. And link to all of these supplies that are at MFT are on their blog and in the description down below. So you can do your own shopping there and get lots of goodies in order to make this project for yourself. But as I said again, you can give this to the child without all this coloring done and save yourselves a lot of effort. This did take me quite a while to do, but it was a whole lot of fun. And the little girl I'm going to give this to, I think, is going to really like it a lot. She's really into princesses and loves to dress up as princesses and everything too. So now I'm just going to do some embellishing of the rest of the project, and that is going to be using lots of glossy accents. I'm creating some bricks along the white castle so I can have some white on white. I put some glitter on things. I added some glossy accents and glitter to some of my little characters. How fun are they? This is going to be so much fun to create a little scene for a little child. And the way that I've attached them and made them stand up is I took that second die cut, I scored one piece, And that way they stand up, they kind of spread out so that each of the little figures stands up to make a little scene. And I just think this is a blast. I hope you try it. I hope you're willing to step out and do something as crazy as this. And leave me a comment in the description down below in the doobly-doo. And please be sure to let me know what medium you'd like me to use next month. And I will see you again at that time. Take care and have a wonderful, wonderful day.